Hey ladies, let me cut this TV down. Back to do an update video. The last time I did a video was about 2 weeks ago, and it was about me in the process of a miscarriage. So I would like to tell you my miscarriage story. The video before that, I was actually 5 weeks, but I made it to 8 weeks. So yeah, the miscarriage started on October 14th. I guess it kind of really started on October 13th, but what happened was me and my husband babied us on October 13th, and so I just thought the brown spotting was from just from us baby dancing. But October 14th, I woke up the next morning to go to the bathroom, and I noticed that I was having my back was hurting, my lower back was hurting, and I don't have backache, so I thought that was very, very strange. I went on to work, and about 9 o'clock, I noticed that it didn't go away, and I don't have back problems. So immediately I was like, I'm having back contractions. I'm having back labor. And I came to that conclusion because when I went to the bathroom at 7, I had the brown spotting, and then when I went back to the bathroom at 9, it had turned into a light pink. And so I texted my husband first, and I told him what was going on. Just to have him on standby, to tell him just in case, don't go to work. We might have to go to the doctor or the emergency room or something. So I called the nurse, and it took the nurse about 35-45 minutes to call me back. So I told her my symptoms, and it didn't seem like she was really concerned about the spotting. The spotting had changed by the time she had called, from a light pink to maybe a red, but not like a blood red, but like a brownish reddish color. So I was like, yeah, I want to go. So she said that she basically, did the triage over the phone, and she had to talk to the doctor and all this. So by the time she called me back, my phone's going dead. So by the time that she called me back, I was in the car on my way to the emergency room. And she was saying that the doctor was saying that I needed to come in and have an ultrasound the next day, which was a Wednesday, and that I should take the rest of the day off and just relax, put my feet up, and to just get me to understand that it might be a miscarriage, and basically was telling me what to look for, how I would feel. I would, have spotting, maybe pass some tissue, something like that. But she was like, but you don't sound like you're to that point or anything. So I was like, okay. So we went to the emergency room, and when we got in the back, before they even did the exam, I wiped again, and when I wiped, it was a little bit more red, and it had some tissue. So I was like, yeah, it's happening. I pretty much knew. The lady came, and she was basically asking me about my ACG numbers, and I was telling her that my last ACG number was on the Wednesday, the week before, on the Wednesday, and it was 760 something or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, it should have been way more than 760 something. It should have been way over 1,000. So it was rising slowly. So I had it done again on that Friday, but I never got the results. So she looked it up and she told me that it had went up to almost 1,200. So which was fine for them because they don't require it to double. So it didn't have to be 1,400. It needed to be around, just around that 11 something, 1,200. So I had just barely made it. And that was on that Friday before I had the miscarriage on Wednesday. So they did a pelvic exam, and she said that the blood was coming from my cervix, but she said that she couldn't hardly get her finger into the opening, so I really wasn't dilated much. So that kind of gave me hope. Me and my husband, when they left out, we got on our knees and we prayed together. And strangely, before I even got up, I kind of knew that I was going to have a miscarriage. And I'm not going to say I was fine with it, but I knew it was confirmation. And so she came back in, and basically I was there for about 6 hours. And so basically the repeat blood work for that day, it was all the way down to 680, 683 or something like that. So it had dropped a significant amount from that Friday. From that Friday, it was like almost 1,200. And then on that Wednesday, it was down to 600 and something. So it like dropped very fast. So that was something. And then when they did the ultrasound, I didn't see baby anymore. So we knew. So basically I was sent home with the diagnosis of a miscarriage. And so the next day, I was supposed to follow up with my doctor. So the next day, I called my doctor's office so that I could follow up with the doctor from the miscarriage. And the receptionist was saying that you still have to come in for your ultrasound because I guess that's their policy. So I was like, I just had one not even 24 hours ago, and I don't really, want to go through that again. And so she talked to the doctor, and basically I had to go in for the ultrasound the next day, which was on a Wednesday. So I went into my appointment, and my mom and my son went with me. And the ultrasound tech was showing me on the monitor the buildup, and it was strange because I bled a little bit on the Wednesday, and I probably used one pad that night, that Wednesday night. I mean that Tuesday night. That Tuesday night. I think it was a Tuesday. Yep. That Tuesday night, I probably used one pad. So when I woke up on Wednesday, I wasn't bleeding anymore. I didn't bleed hardly any. It completely stopped. By the Wednesday, it stopped. So I didn't even bleed a whole 24 hours. So when I got to the ultrasound, the tech was showing me that on the screen I still had a lot of stuff in my cervix. So in my uterus. So when she's explaining, she's showing me all of this that's still there. The doctor walks in and she shows the doctor on the screen that I still had a lot still there. So they was like, yeah. So the doctor started like getting the big lights out and the forceps, and I'm like, what the hell is she about to do? So basically she took the speculum and she was able to open me up and get some of it that was like in my vaginal canal out. But of course she can't go so far up while I'm still awake. And she was basically explaining that she didn't think I was finished with the miscarriage yet. And I'm like, but I'm not even bleeding anymore. Like, it has completely stopped. Like, that one it was like, oh my God, like a few hours and it was over and it was barely any blood at all. Um, so basically within 2 hours, let me see, maybe within 3 hours, I was in the operating room and I had a DNC um, to get the remaining stuff out. And so when I came out of recovery, the chaplain came in and he had this little box with him. And I didn't really know what was in the box. And I knew he was coming to say some words, but I didn't know when he got done saying the words, I didn't know that, basically blessing us, blessing the family, showing his condolences, stuff like that. I didn't realize that the baby was in the box. I mean, it wasn't, it was just an 8-week old embryo. So it really wasn't like, it didn't look like a baby. And the fact that they scrape and suck the remaining whatever left in there, I mean, of course, it wasn't like a baby would come out looking like when they have a cesarean section. So we was able to see the baby. And also they gave us a let me see if I have, I'm gonna, like, I kept all the stuff, my my hospital bracelets and stuff like that. And let's see, this is a basically, after they said the words, they gave us a like a birth certificate for the baby. I don't think I can turn my camera around. Let me see if I can. Basically, it says it's upside down, but it's a certificate of life, and it has our information on it, and babies, and the date, sort of like when the baby was born. But of course, the baby wasn't living. That's my information, the date, the chaplain's name, the hospital. And then they also, if the baby is under 21 weeks, or if you're under 21 weeks pregnant, they'll bury the baby for you. So this is permission, our form for burial. I'm sorry, it's upside down. And so they even let us decide where we wanted to have the baby buried, and also whether we wanted to have a religious burial or non-religious, or or whatever. And so basically, when they get ready to do all of that, they let us know. And also they're going to conduct, an autopsy on the baby, of course, to see what happened. Why did I have a miscarriage? I think it had a lot to do with my blood factor, because before, with my other miscarriages, we didn't know that, well, I was never told about me being O negative and being RH negative. I was never told by any of my doctors about that. So I never had that Rogaine shot, and I did get another one after I passed the baby. I did have another shot to get my body ready for next pregnancy. I did okay emotionally with it the first couple of days. Then I'm gonna say about the third day, I pretty much went into a deep depression, and I stopped eating, drinking, and talking, whatever. I pretty much like stopped responding, and I kind of gave up on life. Wasn't suicidal, but I just kind of gave up, and I was just emotionally and mentally drained and tired. And that day was, it was something else. My husband had to end up leaving work because they thought that my blood sugar had dropped. And so when the paramedics came, I'm sorry, I got a text. When the paramedics came, basically my mom was like, well, she just had a miscarriage, and they was like, well, her blood sugar's fine, all her vitals are fine. They was like, oh, she's depressed. The fire department was very insensitive. I mean, I wasn't out of it. I could hear clearly. I wasn't responding. I was